Okay, here's another one that's a take on the saving versus mortgage conundrum, which I thought was interesting. This person writes in that we have a mortgage on our current house which my husband pays. I have recently returned to work and have some more cash flow. We have 2 young children and would like to plan for our retirement and also support the kids for their higher education or to buy a home. Would you recommend that we invest in a rental property, invest in stocks for the kids' future, pay off the current mortgage faster, or any other options? And just an interesting note I thought here was that this person says that to buy a rental they would need to use equity from their current home, and that they would need to top up the mortgage payments themselves on top of the rent, in order to meet the mortgage.
Which is a common situation for people. I think it's for people who have fairly recently bought a rental property and so they're still paying the mortgage on it. It's really common for them to have to top up. The rent doesn't cover the mortgage is a common scenario, and so they're having to put extra money from elsewhere and to get those mortgage payments. And in this case, they're also losing some equity in their home. So it's actually quite risky taking on rental property in those sort of circumstances. Usually it works, and it can work very well. And the people that do really well out of it often tell the world about it, and you know how I tripled my money. And I mean, the basic reason you can triple your money in a rental property is that you borrow to invest, and you get gains not only on your money but on the money you've borrowed, on the bank's money as well, and so the gains get exaggerated, and that's why often rental property does well. But there is another scenario, and a friend of a friend got into this a while back. He is a builder, and when there was a downturn, he didn't have much work, so he didn't have the money to top up the rent on his rental property, and he was looking at having to sell the rental property, and the value of properties had gone down at that time. Quite often that's the trouble. The time when you lose your job is also a time when house prices are going down. He would have lost what would have happened, he would have sold the house for less than he paid for it, and the proceeds from the sale would not have covered the mortgage that was there. So he was facing ending up with no house, no asset, and a debt with nothing to show for it. And so some of us got together and managed to sort of come up with some money for him in the short term just to tide him through. But that's the kind of thing that can happen with rental property, and it's not talked about all that much. And so a family with young children, and do you want... The other thing about rental property, and I'm not anti-property, I get accused of that sometimes, is that you've got the hassle with tenants sometimes not paying or having big parties, or and sometimes they're in a bad way. You know, they're really nice, lovely people, and they've been paying regularly, and they lose the job or something, and they come to you and say, can we please not pay? And you know, they can't pay for a while, and you're having to come up with the money from elsewhere. Or there's major problems with the maintenance of the building that you hadn't suddenly discover it's a leaky home, or there are nightmares that can happen with rental property. It can use time and energy that you don't get if you invest in a KiwiSaver or UniSaver fund or shares in general. You don't have those sort of issues, and so it complicates your life a lot. So, you know, if you want to take the risk, yes, but go in with your eyes open. Yes, on rentals.
And perhaps have some headroom that, you know, if something does go wrong there, if you have got some flexibility that you're not... Absolutely, and investing based entirely on a perfect scenario.
That's right, yes.